Busy day of college football on Saturday, and we've got to talk about it. Indiana, Purdue, both in action, and it's our first look at the Hoosiers and the Boilermakers, and both of them get wins. We'll tell you what to think about these victories, probably some different thoughts about them from the fan bases. Even though both got wins, I'm sure one fan base is a lot more excited about the victory, how it happened, and who they beat than the other fan base. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about high school football. We'll preview tonight's Miami Notre Dame game. That's all coming up right here on a special Sunday edition of the Sports Rush. Welcome to it. I am Brett Rump, and we are recording this one because tonight is Tin Caps baseball, the season finale at home. The Tin Caps will be on the road next week, but they have to finish things at home tonight, and they've got to salvage a game in this series against the Dayton Dragons, who all of a sudden are unbeatable. Winners of 12 straight games. Dayton will try to get their second consecutive 6-game series sweep. That's crazy. But it would match a franchise record 13-game winning streak if Dayton gets the victory this evening at 6:05 at Parkview Field. And once again, the final home game. Also, it will be the final game for head groundskeeper Keith Winter. For those of you that have followed Tin Caps baseball over the last 15 years, Keith Winter has been pretty much the mainstay and one of the real reasons why Parkview Field has won award after award, and Keith Winter has won awards because it's one of the most beautiful, well-kept fields in all of baseball. And he will be missed, but they've got the succession plan in place, and so all the best in retirement to Keith Winter as he makes tonight his curtain call as head groundskeeper for the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. All right, well, let's get into college football. That's what we're here to talk about on this Sunday because that's what filled the calendar yesterday. College football, and more college football. And the first game of the day was the Purdue Boilermakers and the Ball State Cardinals. And if you're a Purdue Boilermaker fan, you got to feel pretty good about getting off of the right foot with a new coach, and playing at home and having that added pressure and the return of Ryan Brown as the quarterback. And really, it's a winning score for me. And I'm not talking about the 31-0 final against Ball State. I'm talking about if we gave it a grade, A, B, C, D, or F, I'm saying that this is probably, for the Purdue Boilermakers, a B+. And, hard to give out A's on the first week because you don't know if teams have reached their potential. We don't know if this first week was a statement that Purdue is on the way back now that they've got a real coach, or if it's a statement that Ball State is going to continue to slide even further down the MAC poll. But we'll learn that as time goes on. But for Purdue, the worst thing you could have done was lose this football game, and they were never in doubt of losing it. So to me, it's a good win for the Boilermakers. You beat an in-state rival that's been looking forward to this game for some time. You beat them handily, and you serve up the shutout. I'm like, there's not much to be disappointed with if you're the Purdue Boilermakers. 31-0 the win. Final stats for Ryan Brown, the quarterback for the Boilermakers. It was 18 of 26, 311 yards, couple of touchdowns, no picks. Solid work. And a good QBR of 82.7. That's getting it done. Devin Maccabee carried the ball 14 times, 59 yards. They're trying not to overload Maccabee. And to me, he's kind of the guy you expect to get the majority of the carries. They distributed a few others, but Maccabee was the kind of the feature back. But Purdue, as a team, put up 435 total yards and held Ball State to just 203. So nice win for the Boilermakers to get the season started. Then, as that game was getting in through the second half, all of a sudden you had the Indiana Hoosiers taking on Old Dominion. And, I barely sat down in my seat, and Old Dominion took a 7-0 lead on a 75-yard touchdown run by their quarterback. Like, wow. Last year, one of the big bragging points for Indiana was one, not trailing, and number two, not giving up any points in the first quarter. I think they went, 9 games, 10 games before they ever gave up any points in the first quarter. And it didn't last long this year. It lasted 11 seconds, and Old Dominion already had points. So, but Indiana regrouped, and I thought throughout the afternoon, Indiana displayed that they are a good football team. I mean, you try to see if there's weaknesses that the opponent is exploiting. And other than the 2 touchdown runs, which happened at the beginning of the game and happened in the final drive for Old Dominion, and they were both 70-plus yard quarterback runs, other than those 2 plays, Old Dominion spent the day with about 160 yards of total offense and 3 IU interceptions. So Indiana did it defensively through most of the day. It was 2 big plays that made this score kind of interesting, but it wasn't 2 teams that were 13 points apart as far as talent. Indiana was a much better football team. They wasted opportunities in the red zone. They wasted opportunities at the 1-yard line. And those are going to have to be cleaned up. They're going to have to figure out what went wrong with the red zone offense, because you got to finish drives with touchdowns, especially when you're going to take on teams later in the year in the Big Ten. And Curt Cignetti, very similar to what happened last year. It was a 31-7 game a year ago in Indiana's opener. We all know the season turned out all right. So don't overreact to this being a sign that Indiana is not up to par with last year's team. I think from what I saw on the field, how they played, physically, athletically, this is every bit as good a football team. Now, will things fall into place and they'll, end up running the slate until they get to like one hurdle at the end, or, it's not, who knows? But, I think they're probably a team that will lose at least once or twice. So, and it could be 3, but I think it's probably 1 or 2. But they're a good football team, and they're not going to have any trouble winning the next 2 games. And that gives them time, just winning with pure talent. It gives them time to kind of work and mold and get chemistry and get comfort with the offense. I'm not sure what was up with Fernando Mendoza, but he was not the quarterback that we have heard about this whole offseason. That he was going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate, that he's going to be a potential first pick in the NFL draft. That's not the guy that was on the field yesterday, because the guy that was on the field yesterday was very pedestrian. Could have been a guy that's been a backup for a couple of years getting his shot. He was not special. 18 for 31, 100 and some yards. That's nothing. So he needs to be better. The Indiana receivers need to be better. A 55-yard touchdown play was dropped by the receiver, running a deep post over the middle of the field, and Mendoza couldn't have thrown that one any better. Put it right in the breadbasket, in stride. All he had to do was catch it. He had about 6-7 yards to go, and he was in the end zone. And whoop, 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 and dropped it. And so, that's one failure to score. Then they had 2 red zone stops. They had 2 red zone drives, stall, and kick field goals. So there were a lot of opportunities for Indiana to win this game fairly easily. And so don't get too hung up on the score. It was really a more dominant performance by Indiana, over 500 yards of offense. And like I said, if you take those 2 long quarterback runs off the stat sheet, and Indiana still had about 200 yards more total offense than Old Dominion, even with those plays. But if you take those plays off, Old Dominion only had like 160 yards on the entire day. All right, so we've got to talk a little bit about high school football, and then we're going to give you a preview of tonight's Notre Dame Miami game. But high school football, Center Grove, Carroll, that was a fun one to watch on Friday night. And hopefully you tuned in, caught a little bit of the action, if not all of the action on the radio. But, this again, second year in a row where Carroll seems to get caught on their heels and just dominated physically in the trenches. The running game, they got just ran over by Center Grove. A year ago, we watched Hamilton Southeastern do it. And then eventually, Carroll makes an adjustment. I'm not sure if it was a defensive scheme adjustment, if it was just linebackers getting more aggressive at shooting gaps. But Eli Newhouser, when he made plays, was making plays 6, 7, 8 yards downfield on the first couple of drives when Center Grove jumped out to a 14-7 lead. And then all of a sudden he started making plays in the gaps at the line of scrimmage, and it was 1 or 2 yard gains, or maybe 3, rather than being 7, 8, and 9 yard gains. So Carroll did get better defensively, physically. They started to match the physicality of Center Grove, and this was a heck of a football game. It just came down to Center Grove getting an extra score and getting that 2-score margin, which Carroll just couldn't overcome. But I think Carroll's going to leave that field Friday night as a better football team because of the experience of playing a team that's got such a resume as Center Grove. I know they were 8-5 last year, and I know they're expected to be good, maybe not great this year, but good. They've got a lot of youngsters, sophomore quarterback, and I tell you, that kid can sling it. Look out, Indianapolis. That kid's going to be good. Well, probably good this year, but really good in the next couple of years. Also in the SAC, nice wins by Northrop, by Northside. Bishop Luers made a road trip. They start 0-2. They went to Andrean and got shut out. While Snyder only scores a single touchdown against East Noble. Knights have something special going up in Kendallville. So Snyder's 0-2, Bishop Luers is 0-2, and that's what we're going to go watch this Friday. This is not a matchup of two teams typically sitting 0-2 starting conference play. So it should be a lot of fun out of Bishop Luers. Neither one of these teams wants to start 0-3. Too much pride in both programs. So these two will do battle at Luers Field this Friday night, 7 o'clock, Snyder at Bishop Luers. All right, so tonight it is Notre Dame at Miami in the Sunshine State. Might be some afternoon rain, maybe an evening shower. Hopefully it's not a thunderstorm. It's not unusual this time of year. You get some tropical storms that pop up, but usually those are mid to late afternoon, and the game is scheduled to start at 7:30, so you're kind of keeping your fingers crossed that it won't affect the game. But Notre Dame's a better football team. I believe that 100%. I think their talent is better than Miami's talent. And I think Notre Dame's experience in being in these big games, going through the college football playoffs, going to a national championship game, and having the national TV coverage, they've been in these situations. It's not going to be something that overhypes them or gets them nervous or deal with the anxiety and the pressure. Notre Dame will come out and be Notre Dame. They'll run the football. They'll try to set up play action for C.J. Carr. And I think Notre Dame wins this game. It wouldn't shock me if Notre Dame pulls away and wins by a couple of scores. But I do think Notre Dame's going to win this because I think the talent will prevail, and I think all the intangibles point to Notre Dame. The only one that I think Miami could ride their or wear their hat on is that they're at home. They're at home, but Notre Dame's not been a bad road team in some of these big games. So I'm going Notre Dame tonight. What did you think about Arch Manning's performance? I'll tell you this. I was shocked to see a Manning who had so many fundamental flaws in his mechanics. Tell me you didn't see him too. Throwing from his back foot, throwing sidearm when he didn't have to. I mean, it's like, if anything, I thought this kid's going to be so prepped and well coached that he'll be very disciplined, fundamentally sound, won't make mistakes. And that wasn't the quarterback we saw. We expected a lot more. And I don't think, I mean, a lot of people are really bashing his performance. And yeah, it wasn't great. But that's because the expectations were skyrocketed. You measure him against what you expected from him, and not the reality of somebody getting their first start in a huge, high profile game as the number one team in the country with a target on your back, an elite defense from Ohio State. I mean, I'm going to reserve judgment to go all in on. Sorry about that, on the Manning bashing, but but at this point, I think he'll bounce back. I think he'll be better. I mean, again, he's got great mentorship. The coaches are gonna see it, and even if the coaches don't see it, if he talks to, maybe one of his uncles, he'll probably get some advice. Hey, kid, fundamentals. Keep yourself balanced over your feet, and you know, drive in and through the front foot. Don't fall back on the heels of your back foot and try to sling the ball. I think he'll be better. Timing will get better. The game will slow down, and he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. We'll see. But that was a heck of a game to watch because the defenses really played pretty high level football in that for both sides. All right, I'm done. We've got TinCast Baseball coming up tonight. Don't forget before you leave here to click that subscribe button. If you haven't done it already, you should be doing it now. Click subscribe, click the like button, click the alert, the bell, so that you get notified with a little tiny alert if we do some kind of a post or put something out live. And we're going to try to get a live edition on tomorrow. So stick with us all through the weekend, the holiday weekend. And the reason I wanted to go live tomorrow is because that will give us a chance to do the full recap of everything that happens in college football today, including Notre Dame playing tonight. So I don't know that Adam's going to be available because I think Adam's going to be on a plane heading to Florida. So might just be me, but we'll see where it goes coming up tomorrow if we can get a live show in. Remember, you always want to follow me on X to get the latest information of when we're going live. And if you click that bell, you'll get the notification anyway. But you can follow me on X at Brett Rump Sports. Okay, that's it for us. Have a terrific Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. We look forward to talking to you live soon, and hopefully talk to you again tomorrow to talk about a Notre Dame victory.